Tesla battery day left people divided. Was it amazing? Was it disappointing? Well, I got a couple of guys who can definitely help us figure it out. Both are channel contributors. One of them, the automotive manufacturing guru, Sandy Munro, and the Inside EVs contributor, Tom Moloughney. Lucid Motors unveils the new crazy quarter-mile time, but did it beat Tesla's Plaid version? We'll watch the video. Volkswagen ID.4. First edition sells out in 24 hours. Will it be a huge hit? California bans sales of gas cars in not such a distant future. Nikola founder Trevor Milton quits and erases his Twitter account. Xpeng Motors expands to Europe and announces a flying vehicle. And other news from Tesla, Polestar, Porsche, and Lordstown Motors. All of this is coming up next. Welcome to E4 Electric, your #1 source of electric car scoop. If this is your first time here, that's okay. All you have to do to correct the situation is hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Before we get to our main story, a quick reminder, we are in the middle of the National Drive Electric Week. This is their 10th anniversary. Obviously, normally we would be hanging out right now together at local events, checking out each other's electric cars, but you know, the virus, and so it is mainly online. But don't worry, there will be a lot of great online events, sessions, and workshops. I will be hosting 2 of them. I'll put a link to both of them in the description of this video. One of them will be about the amazing electric cars that are coming out next year, and another one is going to be about shopping for a used electric car. So join myself and many other speakers and electric car enthusiasts this week for the Drive Electric Week 10-year anniversary. Now let's get to our top story, which was the event of the week, of the month, and really of the year, the Tesla Battery Day. And it kind of divided people into 2 camps. One camp, mainly Tesla fans and electric car enthusiasts, are very excited, but the other one, which is kind of mainly investors, are not. See, I would have thought it would be the other way around, because the Tesla fans didn't get anything in the immediate future. There was no car unveil or anything like that. Yet they're very excited. But the investors, they're the ones who are getting a lot of savings and a lot of manufacturing improvements, and yet they are kind of upset. So I don't really get it, but let me recap what actually happened. And what happened was 3 things. First of all, obviously Tesla announced their own battery tech. Number 2, they've announced the $25,000 Tesla is coming in about 3 years. And number 3, the Tesla Model S Plaid mode with 0 to 60 in about 2 seconds or under, 520 or more mile range, and a quarter mile in under 9 seconds. And the battery tech was kind of divided into 2 categories. One for the consumers, obviously improvement in range and a cheaper car. And for the manufacturing, a lot of manufacturing breakthrough, faster and cheaper to produce with smaller factories. So all of this, if you really think about it, has really pushed Tesla even more forward. So now it's up to everybody else once again to try to catch up. Now, one of the best people to ask to break down what all of this really means is the manufacturing guru and one of the channel contributors, Sandy Munro, and here is what he had to say. Tell us, what are the things, just in general, from the sort of a bird's eye view, what are the things that you saw that excited you, and were there any things that you were also disappointed in?
Actually, I was not disappointed in anything I saw. I'm a pretty happy guy. As you may or may not know, during my videos, the ones on Munro Live, I made a lot of predictions as to what would be coming out shortly. And all those predictions came true and then some. I've got to tell you flat out, I was really happy to watch what I was watching on Battery Day yesterday. It was phenomenal. To me, I was so high I couldn't believe it. I was interviewed 3 times right after that show, different magazines. Some you'd know, like Bloomberg, others they wouldn't mean anything to you because they're trade magazines. But I will tell you that I am a very excited guy after watching what was going on.
Now, this is just a small clip out of a much bigger conversation that I had with Sandy about the battery day. I posted the first part already. You can find it in the video library on my channel. And the second part about the $25,000 car will go on next week, so don't forget to subscribe. Now let's talk to Inside EV's contributor Tom Moloughney, but before that, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Climate Exchange. That's right, the Tesla raffle is back. You can win a Tesla and there are other prizes. Only 4,000 tickets will be sold, so make sure to get yours using the link in the description of this video. And even if you don't win, the money will go towards a great environmental cause. And by KANDI America, the most affordable electric car in the United States, K27, starting under $10,000 after the federal tax credit, or their second model K23 for under 20. Deliveries start in less than 3 months, so make sure to reserve yours using the link in the description of this video. All right, Tom, this was a pretty intense week for a lot of people, including us. I'm sure neither one of us got much sleep, but this was probably the biggest day in the electric car industry, but somehow it's divided people into two camps. One are very disappointed people, and another one are very, very excited. So how could the same battery day with the same information split people into two, and do both groups have a point?
So yeah, that definitely does seem to be the theme. Yeah, I don't know if they both have a point. I keep going back to the fact was this was battery day, Alex. So we were supposed to hear battery technology, which we did, and some of it on sophisticated levels that you had to go back and rewatch to really understand it. I think a lot of the people watching it don't want to have to work that hard. They just wanted Elon to come out and show them the shiny new object and say, ooh, look what you're going to be able to buy. And then if you don't want that, next year you'll be able to buy this. And you didn't get that with this presentation. You got a lot of techie, nerdy stuff, but it's all good stuff, really important stuff that's going to drive Tesla for the next decade.
Now, how far does this set Tesla apart from its competition? Obviously, this is a breakthrough technology, and a lot of it is savings that are getting out of it, which, Elon kind of mentioned, a lot of it is going to go into profits and investors, rather than consumers. But also, of course, the tech, which translates into range and charging speed, which he didn't talk about at all. The other electric car makers go about reaching the same range in different ways. For example, efficiency rather than battery tech in the case of Lucid. But where we stand right now, did Tesla increase their lead over everybody else?
It looks that way, unless other manufacturers are holding their cards closer to the vest and not letting us know what they're working on. Don't forget, most of these legacy OEM brands, they're not doing this stuff in-house. They're calling up LG Chem and Cadle and Samsung and saying, hey, what do you got for me? What's the best batteries are going to be available next year and in 5 years from now? Tesla's like, listen, I'm not waiting for that. We're going to make the best batteries that are going to be available 5 years from now. I don't see anybody else doing that. And, it's a huge gamble, but it looks like it's paying off.
Tom will be back later in the video to talk about another topic, but let's talk about the story that normally would be huge, but not this week. Lucid Motors has unveiled yet another amazing quarter-mile time, this time with their performance TriMotor version of the Lucid Air, and it came up to 9.245 seconds. Now, I know it is a prototype and Lucid has not announced when they're putting it in production just yet, but nevertheless, this is amazing. Now, I probably shouldn't sound too surprised because I was actually there at that racetrack when they did this, and I knew this all along. Obviously, I couldn't share it with you guys until this week. Now, obviously, it got overshadowed by the Tesla battery day, and obviously they've announced that the Plaid mode will do quarter mile in under 9 seconds. There's no video of it, but you know what? I love the competition, right? There was really not much competition before that, but now we got Tesla and Porsche and Lucid, and hopefully others will join. All right, so now let's get to yet another news that on any other week would also be a top story, but not this week, and it is Volkswagen unveiling the ID.4. The all-electric SUV with 250-mile range will start at under $40,000 and will go down to $35,000 once the US production starts in 2022, and that's before the $7,500 tax credit. Now, the $44,000 version before the tax credit, the first edition, was sold out in just 24 hours, and the deliveries will start in December. Now, one of the biggest perks is the 3-year unlimited free charging with Electrify America. This is a good-looking electric SUV with few exciting toys or specs, but also with a very few shortcomings. Obviously, the ID.4 will compete with the Tesla Model Y, but will Volkswagen shy away from the rivalry? Well, here's what the CEO of Volkswagen Group of America, Scott Keogh, told me when I chatted with him a few days ago. Why do you think people will go for the ID.4 if they've also looked at a Model Y or also other cars in the same category?
Look, I think there's a couple of things at play here. I think first and foremost, look, the Beatles needed the Rolling Stones needed the Beatles because it made rock and roll better. Tesla needs Volkswagen, Volkswagen needs Tesla because it'll get more people driving electric cars. So this is not a zero-sum game, and everyone wants to be, this is killing that, that's killing that. No one's killing anything. It's awesome technology that's going to drive adoption for America. That's the first part. The second thing, in terms of primary targets, I think you're exactly right. Yes, the electric car owner already knows electric vehicles. They know all about them. And we feel very confident they'll give our car its day in court. They'll cross-shop it. What they'll find out, car drives like crazy. It's $14,000, $15,000 less than the Tesla Model Y, has similar packaging, and it's a damn good car. Fact.
For more, let's turn back to the Inside EV's contributor, Tom Moloughney. All right, so almost any given week out of the year, this would be the headline, the Volkswagen's ID.4, but not this week because obviously it was overshadowed by the battery day. Now, if it wasn't for the battery day, this ID.4 unveiling would have been the top news on pretty much any other given week of the year, but it wasn't. However, it is a big deal. It is a very normal car that looks like will appeal to a lot of people. Not much breakthrough tech, but it seems to have everything that your normal regular consumer would want. So do you think this is the best shot that German automakers so far have at competing as far as mass production is concerned of electric cars?
Well, the Taycan is a mass-produced car. Depends on what you count mass-produced, and that's one hell of an electric vehicle. But not everybody can drop the 200,000 on a Taycan, to get one, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's kind of like a vehicle that it doesn't do any one thing really well. It doesn't charge really quickly. It doesn't go 0 to 60 that fast. It doesn't have a frunk for front, cargo capacity. But it does everything really well, not excellently. And put it all together, and it adds up to probably the best offering that we've seen for a family hauler, a long range, relatively a competitively priced vehicle, especially with incentives. The ID.4 is going to be very affordable. Volkswagen wants it to be like their Beetle of the 21st century, and it's got a good chance of doing that.
Okay, so I agree with you. It is really a very good, normal, regular car that happened to be electric. So could it be that this is the best value for the dollars that the consumers would spend when it comes to an electric car?
There's a very good chance that, yeah, this might be the best value, especially once we get to the lower priced variants. The first edition is expensive. Well, it's $44,000, $43,000. But in a couple of years, we're going to get a $35,000 version here in the US. And with incentives, that car is going to cost in the low 20s. That is a phenomenal deal in the mid to low $20,000 range. That's going to put a hurting on the RAV4 and the Honda CR-V, the vehicles that lead that segment.
Could it be that the best feature of this car is that people don't have to learn anything new about it? For example, how to use a flat screen display to operate the entire car, or how to use the autopilot and stuff like that. All these cool things people still have to learn. Could it be that their best feature is no new features?
Well, you know, it is going to have some nice driver assistant features, but Volkswagen did make an effort to make it very familiar that a Volkswagen driver could just get in this car from their Touareg or whatever other vehicle they had and feel at home. You know, I think there's something to be said about that. There are still a good segment of the population that don't want their new electric vehicle to be that different from what they're used to.
If you want to hear more from Tom, which I always do, you can subscribe to his channel. I put that link in the description of this video. But for now, let's move on to another huge story that this one also could be the headliner, you know, most of the time. But check this out. California has decided to ban the sales of all gas cars. All new gas car sales will be banned in less than 15 years. The executive order was signed by the California Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, I have to say that other countries have come up with a similar deadline, so this is not extremely new, but usually whatever California decides, especially about electric cars, is what the standard is going to be for the rest of America, because the manufacturers are not going to make different versions of their same car for different states. Now, overall, I think this is a great goal, and I think you guys agree. Let me know in the comment section, but we do have a bit of a problem, because if everybody plugs their cars in all at once, we're gonna have a problem with overloading the grid, and we actually already do have a problem with overloading the grid here in California. Every time it gets a little hot and everybody turns their air conditioning on, boom, we have rolling blackouts. So if you sign an executive order like this, you also have to do something about the infrastructure, or make sure that we speed up the adoption of the solar panels. Now, don't forget, any executive order can be overturned by the next governor. So I will keep my eyes on this story and will keep you updated. A couple of years, so everybody wins. Xpeng Motors made some news at the Beijing Auto Show, but before that, they've also started exporting their all-electric SUV G3 to Europe. They are one of the few Chinese companies who have decided to venture out of China, though I should mention that they are a publicly traded company here in the United States. So the first 100 G3 SUVs are on their way to Norway. Xpeng Motors have sold over 20,000 of these in almost 2 years of being in production. There are two battery sizes. One has 180 and another one has 230 EPA equivalent mile range, and this car will be on sale starting at what we can translate into 38,000 American dollars. That's before the incentives. As I mentioned, this is a big deal for a Chinese company to expand to Europe and possibly to the United States, but why? I got a pretty good answer from the president of Xpeng Motors, Brian Gu. Well, so let me ask you about that, because I have seen now a few electric car models released either exclusively for China, or where the marketing starts in China and then kind of goes to Europe and the United States, and in some cases it doesn't even go to the United States. Can you tell me a little bit about why China is such more attractive market for automakers to sell the electric cars, where North America and the United States in particular is kind of on the bottom of that list?
Well, I think you know, there are a number of factors why Chinese market is attractive for EV. You know, for many years, I would say probably 6-7 years already, Chinese government has been pushing really hard for the switch to a new energy vehicle. There's a lot of policies, consumer and subsidy, driving restrictions, emission standard increases, and all kinds of, I think, you know, consumer behavior also related encouragements.
Xpeng Motors also announced a new vehicle at the Beijing Auto Show, but this one can fly. That's right. This is a flying car called Kiwi Gogo, which kind of sounds like a flavored protein shake. Hey, would you like to try some of my kiwi go-go? Oh, no, thank you. I'm already full from my cherry go-go. There is no timeline for production of this flying car, but it can seat 2 passengers and fly as high as 80 meters. Ring, the video doorbell company, which actually has a Shaquille O'Neal as one of the spokespeople, don't tell me how I know, has come up with a product where they have partnered with Tesla. You can install this little device in your Tesla, and this way you will be able to see all of the Sentry mode footage on your phone, something that I thought Tesla should have implemented into their own app. But now you gotta dish out $200 for this, plus the cost of the LTE connectivity. If you guys watch my channel on a regular basis, you probably know that I got to spend a day with Polestar 2, and that is a great car. It's on sale right now here in the United States, but Polestar has just announced that they're going to move forward with bringing their concept Precept, which I think is a very sharp looking sedan, to production. There is no date just yet, but this is great news. Guess which Porsche model was the best-selling model for the brand in the month of August in Europe? That's right, the all-electric Taycan has outsold the Porsche 911 and Panamera with almost 1,200 units sold. Lordstown Motors has released the interior picture of their all-electric pickup truck Endurance, and I gotta say, I was a little bit worried that it wasn't high-tech enough, but I actually think it's a pretty good mixture. They've also announced that they have more than 40,000 pre-orders. Tesla has suffered the biggest network outage to date. Nothing was working. Their staff wasn't able to process deliveries and orders. The website was down. The app was down. Even the Tesla solar monitoring was unavailable. Everything appears to be back to normal, but a lot of people believe that one of the reasons the stock was down this week was this big outage, and we don't really know what happened. Elon Musk didn't really tweet anything about it, and we in the press don't really know either, because Tesla doesn't really have a PR department. A huge shout out to some of my newer Patreons. Thank you so much, David Goyet, Paul Lady, and Sarish and Nilam Gaiwani. Thank you so much for supporting this channel and supporting my habit of paying my utility bills and feeding my neighbor's cat. If you want to join my Patreon community where I go live weekly to give you some behind the scenes stories, you can do so by going to patreon.com/E4Electric. I put that link in the description of this video as well. And of course, don't forget to check out the part 1 of my conversation with Sandy Munro, where he shares his take on the Tesla Battery Day. That link should be up there in that corner, but I put that in the description of this video. And of course, part 2 coming up next week. All right, looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.